In the previous video, we have added some variety to our town. We now have bigger buildings, and they are indicated by taking a lot more space than the single size structures. Now what we need to do is to add even more variety by placing trees. So the idea is that we are going to place trees instead of some of the buildings. So let's stop the game. Let's open our structures helper script. So we are not going to implement another helper, although we should probably, because we are going to use the structure helper to place our trees and nature. So let's create a public game object, and let's call it nature. It will be an array of game objects, and let's call it nature prefabs. What else do we need to create? Let's create public full random placement, and this will indicate the random nature placement, so we can rename it random nature placement. And let's set it to false by default, and we need another variable public float and random nature placement threshold. And let's set it to 0.3 for now. Again, we can add to it an attribute range from 0 to 1, because we cannot get really higher than 1. Okay, and we can add public, I have added the semicolon at the end here. So public dictionary, again, we can actually copy this statement from above and change the name of the dictionary to be just nature dictionary. Okay, great. And what we can do with it now is we can slide it down, and when we have the -1 case, when we are placing the simple houses on our map, then we can consider if our var random, so here we can create if our random nature placement is active, we are going to calculate random equals Unity engine dot random dot value, or we could use the system random dot value. And now if our random value is less than random nature placement threshold, we are going to, instead of placing a prefab of type house, we're going to calculate var nature prefab. So this will be a game object equals spawn prefab. So we can basically copy this. Okay, and we need to choose a prefab from our nature prefabs. And to do this, we are going to call Unity engine dot random dot range from 0 to nature prefabs dot length. So we are choosing a random prefab from our nature array. Let's change this name to nature instead of building. And if we have chosen one and created it, we are going to say nature dictionary add, and this will be our free spot dot key, so the position, and nature, so the nature object. And let's not forget to break out of the for loop, because we have already placed here a tree or another type of nature object that we have created for our game. Okay, so that's basically it. Let's go to our Unity editor. Great, let's minimize the building types. I have it still locked, but it doesn't matter because now we need to drag some nature prefabs. So let's go to our prefabs folder, and we can see we have a couple of trees here. Let's drag all of them to our nature prefabs array, and let's check the random nature placement. Let's leave the random nature placement threshold to be 3. Let's unlock this inspector. Okay, save this and play. Okay, now we can see that at some spots instead of houses we have trees. Of course, it isn't perfect, and I'm sure we can come up with something much better, but this starts looking like a nice little town somewhere. Now, to make it complete, we are going to implement the animation, and that's what we are going to do in the next episode.